Hi everyone, Patek here, and today I bring a host with me. Chocoboy Leo is here with me. And yeah, this is SFF Spotlight episode 50. We made it, 50 episodes of SFF Spotlight, and that's a lot of news have been spotlighted on my YouTube channel, and I'm truly thankful to all of you who keep on watching SFF Spotlight, and hopefully this series of videos where I will talk about special editions, Kickstarter campaigns, also new book news and cover reveals in the adult science fiction and fantasy genre continue to be beneficial to all of you, and that's my hope anyway. I will say though, today's episode of SFF Spotlight is an expensive one. You will see what I'm talking about because maybe it is more precise to call today's episode the special edition SFF Spotlight because we have so many Kickstarter campaigns and also special edition to spotlight today. In total, I have about 25 topics to spotlight, and about half of them are actually dedicated to special edition and Kickstarter campaigns. So let's just begin immediately. And for the first one, let's start with something that I am involved in, and this is regarding The Guardians of the Moon by Steven Erikson, the Broken Binding edition. The cover art has been revealed. Finally, I worked together with Felix Ortiz, the artist behind this cover art, and also the Broken Binding for the creation of this cover art, and I'm really happy with the result. So the way this works, for those of you who asked me about it, is that the Broken Binding, they told me and Felix Ortiz the scene that they wanted to capture in the cover art, and they have decided to settle with the Siege of Pale again. And I think it is, to be fair, it is hard to deny that because the Siege of Pale and also Moonspawn is one of the most iconic scenes in Guardians of the Moon, even though there are plenty of great scenes in Guardians of the Moon. And after hearing that, I have to do the best I can as an art director and direct the cover artist, Felix Ortiz, to do the best he can and come up with the best result. And this is what we have. I think it turns out real well. It looks epic, and also it works kind of like a companion to the French cover art edition by Mark Simonetti, which will also appear on the naked hardcover of each book in Malazan Book of the Fallen. So yeah, it will look amazing. And by the way, speaking of cover art, we are practically done with the cover art of the second book in Malazan Book of the Fallen, Death House Gates. Some of the few criticisms that we got regarding the cover art of Guardians of the Moon is that the scene felt too similar with Mark Simonetti's cover art. Well, in that regard, I can definitely confirm that the cover art to Death House Gates is definitely different than everything that has been done before for the cover art of Death House Gates. As far as quality goes, I will let you to decide whether it will be suitable for you or not. Art, after all, is subjective, and well, I look forward to the official cover reveal. And let's move on to talk about Kickstarter campaigns. And not gonna lie, I want you to choose wisely because we are only in the month of February and we still have a lot of special editions coming up for the rest of the year. But yeah, the first Kickstarter campaign to spotlight will be just like the previous episodes, will be dedicated to A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab, published by Wraithmarked Creative, a deluxe illustrated edition. The Kickstarter campaign for A Darker Shade of Magic is almost at its end, only 48 hours left. Yeah, I think at the time of recording this video, we have only about 48 hours left before the end of the Kickstarter campaign. And if you are a fan of V.E. Schwab, then I think this is the right time for you to back the Kickstarter campaign. And just as a reminder, this one will feature a cover art done by Rovina Kai and also interior illustrations by Felix Ortiz. So many interior illustrations by Felix Ortiz. It will also be a design by Sean T. King, and it will be signed by V.E. Schwab herself. It will also contain a silver gilded edges. It looks beautiful. And again, today's SFF Spotlight episode is sponsored by Wraithmarked, and I want to say thank you so much to Wraithmarked for sponsoring today's episode again, because if you have been watching SFF Spotlight episode, you know that each episode do take a lot of time to actually produce, and I'm truly thankful for that. And yeah, just as a reminder, once again, if you're a fan of V.E. Schwab and you want to make sure to gain a full collection of the deluxe illustrated edition of A Shade of Magic series, then do it. Back the Kickstarter campaign. And again, thank you so much to Wraithmarked for sponsoring today's video. And for the next Kickstarter campaign, this is again related to Wraithmarked, but this is their branch for Enamel Pin and other merchandise. And this is for Wildcrown production. And I am involved in this creation as well, in this Kickstarter campaign. I am in charge of designing my own enamel pin, and of course it features Chocoboy as a samurai, Roro Noah Choco. I did this together with Daniel Green, Murphy Navier, and then Man Carrying Thing and Reagan from Paris Project. And I want to say thank you so much to all of you who have backed this cute enamel pin. I can't believe that it has exceeded more than 25,000 in funding amazing, and well, I can only say thank you. And if you do pledge to get an enamel pin of Chocoboy, well, when it arrives, please show me. Tag me on social media. It will make our day. But this is not an obligation. As I said, make sure to choose which money you spend wisely. I think Chocoboy has done his job, and I think he's kind of bored. So I'm just going to let him roam around here, okay? Now for the next 6 Kickstarter campaign, yes, 6. I'm not joking, right? There's a lot of Kickstarter campaign going on in the first week of February, and I'm going to talk about 6 of them as briefly as possible because this Kickstarter campaign, the 6 of them aren't live yet. The Kickstarter campaign hasn't launched yet, but the page is up already. Let's start with the first one, and this is for the first book in the Demon War Saga by R.A. Salvatore. Yeah, the author behind The Legend of Driss, and this is in collaboration with Wraithmarked again. I actually haven't read the Demon War Saga yet, but the cover art done by the legendary Wayne Reynolds already looks absolutely stunning, and there will be interior artworks by Felix Ortiz again. And of course, this project is designed by Sean Ticking, who also works as the art director for this Kickstarter campaign. And then there will also be a map by Augustinas Raginskis, who also did the map for Wraithmarked Deluxe Hardcover Edition of A Mark of Kings. This Kickstarter campaign, just like the next 2 that I'm going to mention, the 3 of them, I don't know who decided that this is a good idea, but the 3 of this Kickstarter campaign, all of them will launch on 6th of February. Yeah, all of them at the same day, probably at the same time. So yeah, good luck to every one of us. The next one I want to spotlight will be for Death Stars Part 1 by Ben Galley. This is the sequel after The Written and also Peloquin. Again, this will be launched on the 6th of February, and Dennis Kornev will return again as the artist for the interior artworks inside Death Stars Part 1. And this one, the first book features the color red, the second book features the color blue, and this time we have green. I believe the last one will feature the cover art in yellow. There will be more details for this one after it is launched, but if you have bought the first and the second book in the series, the illustrated edition, make sure to click notify me in the Kickstarter page to make sure that you are indeed notified through emails when the Kickstarter campaign is live. And the final Kickstarter campaign that will launch on the same date as Demon Wars and also Death Stars, this is Thief of the Night Guild by Andy Peloquin. This is the sequel to Child of the Night Guild, which you can see on the back here. Yeah, this one. I will talk about that more in my book haul video. But yeah, this is the sequel to that, and again, it features cover art done by Antti Hakosari and also interior artworks, I believe, by Daniel Correa, and there will be more details to come after this Kickstarter campaign is live as well. But yeah, this is the same date as Demon Wars and also Ben Galley's The Death Stars. And for the next one, this is not on the 6th but on the 5th of February, and this is for The Crimson Court by Brandon Noble. It has been confirmed by the author that The Crimson Court will have a prequel novel included in the Kickstarter campaign, and this one will be titled Amber Dame. The cover art is done by the same cover artist as the cover art behind The Crimson Court. It is illustrated by Katerina Vitkovskaya. I believe this one will be a flintlock fantasy novel, and similar to the previous 3 Kickstarter campaign I just spotlighted, all of them will have more details after they launch on the 5th and the 6th of February. And for the last 2 Kickstarter campaign I want to spotlight, this one you have a bit of a time before they are live. And the next one is Drumindor by Michael J. Sullivan. This is the 5th novel in the Radiance Chronicles, and yeah, it has been 5 years, I believe 5 years or 6 years, ever since the release of the 4th book in the Radiance Chronicles, The Disappearance of Winter's Daughter. And now we have the release of the 5th book coming through Kickstarter campaign, and it is Drumindor. Something that is not too satisfying about this release, even though I'm definitely excited about the release of the Radiance books. A new Radiance book is always a blessing for us readers who love fantasy novels, especially Royce and Hadrian, one of the best bromance in fantasy. But if there is one thing that is a bit disheartening about this Kickstarter campaign, is that, as you can see, the cover art doesn't feature cover art by Mark Simonetti anymore. It features a new cover art, and that means there will be a cover change, and I am not happy about that. I guess it is kind of a blessing though that I don't have the physical copy for the first 4 books in the Radiance Chronicles, even though I do want them But for those of you who face the similar situation like me, let's say that you don't have the physical copies of the first 4 books yet, there will be a Kickstarter campaign for the first 4 books in the Radiance Chronicles with the new cover art and I think new deluxe edition with the same cover art and design to Drumindor. That's what I think. I think this one will actually launch on March 13, 2024. So that's still about a month from now. And finally, the last Kickstarter campaign to spotlight today. This will launch on the 15th of February. I will make sure to talk about this again in my next episode of SFF Spotlight, but this one is for Dawn of the Void trilogy by Phil Tucker. This will be a deluxe collector's omnibus edition containing the entire trilogy, and although there isn't too many details about this one yet, I believe this omnibus edition will be given the deluxe and also high production value treatment. I assume acid-free paper, Smithson binding, and also interior illustrations and all that. Phew, that's a lot, right? That's a lot of Kickstarter campaign. I even get tired of saying Kickstarter campaign in today's video. But there are still plenty of special editions to spotlight. And none of this are related to Kickstarter campaign. And for the next one, this is, of course, a reminder that The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss Grim Oak Press edition that comes with 4 tier of special editions will launch on the 7th of February. As I said, the first week of February is really brutal to us who love special editions and beautiful books with great production value. So I will not go into too much details on this one. I will leave the link to all the details regarding The Name of the Wind Grim Oak Press edition in the link down below, just like all the news that I spotlighted always. But yeah, just as a reminder, this will launch on the 7th of February. And still on the topic of Grim Oak Press edition, well, the general sale for The Stone of Farewell by Ted Williams, the second book in the Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn trilogy, Grim Oak Press edition with the cover art and interior illustrations by Donato Giancola, is available to purchase now. As for me, I already own a copy of the first book, Grim Oak Press edition, The Dragonbone Chair, which I believe is one of my favorite special editions of all time. But right now, even though I really want to get a copy of Stone of Farewell, Grim Oak Press edition, it is at the moment out of my budget. So hopefully I can afford it someday, maybe on discount. But for now, I unfortunately have to pass. But if you have the means and you want to get this absolutely beautiful edition by Grim Oak Press, it is available now. And for the next one, this will be for Foundation by Isaac Asimov. But this will be published by, I think, Conversation Tree House Press or Conversation Tree Press. I don't know. This is the first time I heard about this fine press company. But this will features interior illustration and I think cover art as well by Gregory Manches, and also introduction by, well, Brandon Sanderson. And for those of you who don't know who Gregory Manches is, he is the one who did the cover art, the new cover art of Lord of Chaos, the 6th book in the Wheel of Time series. And I think with him being in charge of the illustrations, I think this will look amazing. But I don't know, I am not a fan of Foundation. I haven't read the series yet, but yeah, this will be an expensive one. And I think this is probably suitable to those who are really a die-hard fan of the series. And speaking of Brandon Sanderson earlier, I think if you have been following Brandon Sanderson on his YouTube channel, or you are following the Backer Kit, I think is the name, Backer Kit campaign of Words of Radiance by Brandon Sanderson. This is the 10th anniversary deluxe letterbound edition of Words of Radiance that should be coming in the month of March. If you have been following the updates, then you will know this news already. But if you haven't, then this will be kind of like a recap. So Brandon Sanderson and also the Dragonsteel team have been showing interior illustration, some of the many interior illustrations inside the Dragonsteel letterbound edition of Words of Radiance, and I think they all look absolutely gorgeous. I'm going to show all of them here. The first one, we have Kaladin vs. Zed by Steve Argall. And then we have Shallan and the Sunteeth by Ashley Coates. And then a beautiful stained glass art of Words of Radiance by the incredible Janko. The super famous boot scene by Mary Sirberger. And then Shallan by Magali Villeneuve, one of the most popular and the best artists in the science fiction and fantasy genre. And finally, In the Chasms by one of my favorite artists of all time, Micah Epstein. I think this is easily the most beautiful depiction of the chasm scene. And that's saying a lot considering how many fan art of this scene has existed in the internet. I think it is safe to say that Dragonsteel and also Brandon Sanderson is going all out on this 10th anniversary edition of Words of Radiance. But yeah, there will be a price increase. The price, I think, will be in total $250 for the Words of Radiance Redbound edition. So yeah, it is a pricey one. But if you have the means and you are a fan of the Stormlight archive, I think this will be worth your money. And speaking of Micah Epstein earlier, he has been incredibly productive and I am happy for it. A new art by Micah is always an incredible thing to have. And this is regarding the first interior artworks of Jade City Subterranean Press Edition by Fonda. And yeah, this is the art. I think currently the plan is to have two interior illustrations by Micah Epstein and also a colored and paper on top of a new cover art. I think it is a bit of a shame if that is true, because I think we should have more interior illustrations inside Jade City. But as I said, a new artwork by Micah Epstein, especially inside a book as good as Jade City, is a blessing, and I really love this interior artworks. If you have read Jade City, you will know what scene this is. But regarding the release date, there is no confirmed release date yet, except that it is coming within this year. This is regarding Jade City Subterranean Press Edition. And remember, because this is the Subterranean Press Edition, it won't be a cheap one. It will be expensive, and not gonna lie, I have been kind of saving some money to prepare myself to buy this special edition since last year. I hope the price will be affordable for me. I don't know how much it will cost, I don't know. But considering that the specs and features will be similar to their edition of the Poppy War Trilogy by R.F. Kuang, Subterranean Press Edition, I think the price will be $195 or $200 probably. That's my prediction. Anyway, we'll find out eventually. Special edition and limited editions are constantly getting more expensive each day, and the next one is really not an exception to this. This is the Folio Society edition of The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers. And yeah, it is available to purchase now, but as I said, this one will be limited, I think, to 750 copies. And well, I am not a fan of The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet, so my wallet is safe from this one. But if you're a fan of the Wayfarer series, I think you should look into this one. I will say though, the price is super expensive. I think it is actually more than $500 US. So yeah, as I said, spend your money wisely. I am here just to inform you the existence of special editions and limited editions, but you don't have to buy all of them. It is impossible to do that, okay? And finally, the last special edition that I want to spotlight today, this is regarding the release of the first title in the Indie Endless edition by The Broken Binding, previously titled as Indie Legacy, but they have decided to change the name to Indie Endless edition. I actually think that Indie Legacy might have worked better as a title, but Indie Endless Edition is good as well. But the first title is A Time of Dragons by Philip C. Quaintrell, with the cover art done by Chris McGrath and also foil art and stenciled edges by Katrina Paints. It looks beautiful, and this one actually features acid-free paper and also Smithsoon binding. The price, I think, is £30, but you don't have to rush for this one because, as I said before, Indie Endless Edition means there will always be a stock. Yeah, it will never run out. You can purchase it anytime you want, but there will be differentiation in printing. It will be marked on the title page, just like standard hardcovers for printing, second printing, and beyond. And I think Broken Binding is planning a lot of stuff with this one because there are so many great indie fantasy books deserving of a hardcover and special edition. And I think that's exactly why the title Indie Legacy has been changed to Indie Endless, because it means it will always be reprinted to be purchased. And yeah, that's pretty much it for special editions a lot. As I said, this is an expensive SFF Spotlight episode. For the next one, this is just a standard release, and this is for the audiobook release of Curse of the Mistwraith by Janny Wurts. Yeah, I know it sounds insane, but the first book in the Wars of Light and Shadow finally gets an audiobook. There is still no confirmation regarding the audiobook for the second book and beyond. If it's just like usual, it will depend on the sales of the audiobook of the first book. So if you are a fan of the Wars of Light and Shadow, try to get yourself a copy of the audiobook of Curse of the Mistwraith. This will hopefully ensure that the rest of Wars of Light and Shadow gets an audiobook edition as well. As for me, I still amazingly haven't read Curse of the Mistwraith yet, even though I have mentioned it so many times on my YouTube channel. Life just constantly wants to stop me from reading Wars of Light and Shadow. I have no idea why. But that's about it for the topic of Kickstarter campaign, a special edition, and also audiobook. Before I move on to the last section of SFF Spotlight to talk about new cover reveals, and believe me, there are many gorgeous and stunning ones, I want to mention two things regarding to TV show adaptation first. In my previous episode of SFF Spotlight, I showcased the existence of Boys Life Suntop edition, and that special edition blew my mind. I love Boys Life so much. And the other book by Robert McCammon that I love is Swan Song. And Swan Song is apparently getting a TV show adaptation. Monarch Media will be in charge of producing the TV show adaptation of Swan Song. And I think this is well deserved. Swan Song is incredible. Robert McCammon, I have read only 2 books by Robert McCammon. I absolutely love both of them. And I think it is kind of crazy that it is only now that Swan Song is getting a TV show adaptation, while The Stand probably already get like 3 TV show or movie adaptation. And honestly speaking, in my opinion, Swan Song is better than The Stand. Yeah, that's my honest opinion. Whether that's controversial or not, I have no idea. And the next one, this is regarding Avatar: The Last Airbender TV show adaptation by Netflix. And I was initially a bit cautiously optimistic about this TV show adaptation after seeing the trailer. But recently, a new news came out and it said that Sokka's initial sexism will be removed from the TV show adaptation. This is so mind-boggling to me. It already feels like this is a mistake because this sexism in Sokka, here's the thing, it is a huge part of his character development throughout the entire series. There are good reasons to his character arc and development on why he started out that way. It is one of the things that made Sokka, by the end of the series, more likable. And to throw that away from the beginning, I don't know what they're going to do for his big character development throughout the entire series. And yeah, now I'm negative again regarding this TV show adaptation. I think now every time there is a TV show adaptation, the excitement only lasts a while, and then there will be new news, new information that, well, tell us you should not be excited about this TV show adaptation. I mean, think about it. Even the creators, the original creators behind Avatar: The Last Airbender cartoon actually left this TV show adaptation. And well, this is just the first sign, I think, of many to come on why it happened. So that's that on the section of TV show adaptation. Do let me know whether you are excited about Swan Song and also the Avatar: The Last Airbender TV show adaptation. As always though, I can be proven wrong by my initial skepticism, but I guess we'll find out. Now let's move on to the final section of today's SFF Spotlight episode, and time to talk about some beautiful cover reveals. The first one is for Blood of the Old Kings by Sung Il Kim, translated by Anton Her. And this one, the cover art is done by Dominic Mayer. I think it looks super stunning. If you take a look more deeply into the cover art, you can actually see the soldiers feeling the dragon in the cover art here. And Dominic Mayer has featured a lot of gorgeous artworks in his portfolio for plenty of years now. And this book, Blood of the Old Kings, begins an epic adventure in which 3 strangers journey through a vast empire that uses the power of dead wizards to conquer and subdue. The book will be out in October, and yes, I will definitely try to get myself a copy of this one. I am already convincing the Broken Binding to do a special edition of Blood of the Old Kings because that cover art, it deserves a special edition, okay? And moving on to the next one, this is for The Darkness Returns by Raymond Evice. And you know what? For those of you who are a fan of the Rift War series, The Darkness Returns, the first book in a new series by Raymond Evice, will be a bridge series from the Fire Main Saga, I think a trilogy, to the Rift War cycle. And yeah, this means that some familiar names like Puck will return, and I believe will appear in the book as well. The cover art is done by Larry Rostan. I think for the US and the UK cover, I think both of them are done by the same artist for this one. And yeah, this one, the title is The Darkness Returns. So again, if you're a fan of the Rift War cycle, good news for you. Raymond Evice is returning to the world of the Rift War cycle, even though the entire universe already contained like 30 books, I think. So yeah, some authors really cannot stay away from the big world they have crafted, and I guess that's understandable. The last cover reveal for a traditionally published fantasy book will be for The Fate of Silent Gods by Scott Drakeford. The cover art is done by Justin Sweet, and this is the sequel to Scott Drakeford's debut novel, Rise of the Mages. I haven't read Rise of the Mages yet, but I heard good things about it from Brian Lee Durfee, the author behind the 5 Warrior Angels. And I think as far as cover art goes, this cover art to the second book in the series is far superior compared to the first one. Justin Sweet is a great artist, and I am happy that Scott Drakeford do get him to be his cover artist. Moving on to the self-published fantasy and sci-fi cover reveals portion, we have a new cover art for the Sun Eater book to kick things off. But this is not a new book, but this is definitely a new cover art. This is for Tales of the Sun Eater Volume 1, and the cover art is done by James L. Cook. I think it is easily one of the most badass, maybe even the most badass cover art to ever grace a collection of short stories. And yeah, I have read this one. This is a collection of short stories in the world of the Sun Eater, and yeah, this is Volume 1. Volume 2, just like Volume 1 and Volume 3, will also receive the same treatment, meaning that it will get a new cover art done by James L. Cook, who is also the cover artist behind the Diamond edition of the Sun Eater series. And yeah, I think it looks amazing. Do know though that this one is only for ebook. There will be no paperback or physical copy edition for the collection of short stories. Not yet anyway. And for the next one, this is on Grave Song by Pirate Abba, the author behind The Wandering Inn. This is the first book in the Singer of Terandria series, and yeah, it is the beginning of a new series, but it takes place in the same world, in the same timeline as the first book in The Wandering Inn. So this, just like The Wandering Inn, will be a suitable, I think it will be a suitable starting point to those of us who feel intimidated to start The Wandering Inn, because I think The Wandering Inn is now about 15 million words long in total. I could be wrong on that, but they're somewhere around that mark. For those of you who don't know, that means you have to start and finish the Wheel of Time 4 times to get the word count of The Wandering Inn right now. And it's still ongoing. That's how insane The Wandering Inn. And if you feel intimidated by that word count, then probably Grave Song is a better starting point, because it is the beginning of a new series by Pirate Abba. As for me, as I said, I would try reading the first book and try not to think about the total word count of The Wandering Inn this year. And the next cover art that I want to showcase on today's episode, this is regarding the sequel to the series called Sul, a series of illustrated novels by J.Q. Davis and also Kathy Gerson. And this is the cover art to the second book, Fool's Gold. And yeah, as you can probably tell from the first book, if you have read the book or maybe seen me talking about it on my YouTube videos, then the art and also the interior artworks are again illustrated by the authors, both of them, Katie Grierson and also Jackie Davis. And now you can actually request an advanced reading copy of the second book. I will leave the link to sign up for the advanced reading copy in the description down below. As for me, I think I will have to read the first book first and find out whether the book is suitable for me or not. But I do think that the special edition looks beautiful. I think the cover art and also the interior illustrations, especially all the interior illustrations done in full color, look beautiful, and I think they will enhance our reading experience of the book. And moving on to the next one, this is for The Dark Town by Palmer Pickering. The cover art is done by Dusan Markovic. I have read only one book by Palmer Pickering, and that is Heliotrope. I will talk about that more in my January wrap-up video, which I think I will be launching that next week. I will talk about Heliotrope in more details in that wrap-up video, but I liked it. Yeah, to put it simply, I liked it, and I hope that Dark Town, I think the first lit RPG novel by Palmer Pickering, will be even better than Heliotrope. And finally, the last cover reveal and the last topic of today's SFF Spotlight episode, this is for an anthology in the Mage Errant series by John Bierce, The Gorgon Incident and Other Stories. This anthology will be out this month, and just like the previous books in the Mage Errant series, this absolutely stunning cover art with a lot of intricacies and details is once again penciled by Aaron McConnell and colored by Lee Moyer. I have the privilege to actually do the cover reveal of this one on my blog, Noble Notions, and if you are someone who is interested in getting to know the step-by-step details on how a cover art is created, then I do recommend you to check out that blog post. I will leave the link to that in the description down below as well. But I do think this cover art and also all the previous cover arts in the Mage Aaron series illustrated by the same artist looks beautiful, very beautiful. And I look forward to reading Mage Aaron series for the first time. I believe people have told me that this is a great progression fantasy series. So that's a wrap on today's SFF Spotlight episode. SFF Spotlight episode 50. Yeah, it is amazing. 50 episodes already. I will do my best for the remaining, I don't know how many episodes I will do in SFF Spotlight. But as I said, as long that this continues to be beneficial to many of you readers, and thank you for letting me know about that, then I will continue to do SFF Spotlight. And yeah, just like always, do tell me what you think about the news that I spotlighted, especially all the expensive special edition stuff. Do let me know what you think about them. And also, as always, thank you so much for watching, and thank you for your support. Bye-bye. Lastly, I want to say thank you so much once again to all my patrons who keep on supporting me.